Welcome to Carter's Country Club. This is episode 3. Is it the spark of creation? Part 12. I am Ann Taylor Lashbrook-Wright. It is May 11th, 2026, and I'm really glad that you're here. That's at least when I'm recording this. Okay, so I'm going to play for you a little bit more. I kind of fast forwarded into this production of Children of Eden so you can hear the song with all the S's. My stepdad was always bothered by women saying or singing S's, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, let's move forward. I don't want to play too much of this, but I didn't play any music in part 11. Um, but yeah, I'm going to talk after it, but let's play just a little bit of this. And I know, like, I get it. Maybe this is not your jam, but there's a reason why I'm sharing this.
I've been watching you for a while now, my pretty little miss. And I've got to tell you this, you make me want to hiss. Your aimless curiosity is fast becoming tiresome. Knowledge, dear, is power, and it's high time you acquire some. Dum, dum, dum. Lesson 143. Repeat it after me. I'm in pursuit of excellence. Excellence.
Okay, so they're talking about being in pursuit of excellence. I was taught that perfection is a myth, but that we are always chasing excellence. And maybe you find that to be true, maybe you don't. But yeah, I think it's really interesting. Like I said, I wanted to talk more about Children of Eden throughout this episode, not just to relate to gender, but to see all of the occult wisdom that is hidden in musicals. So, yeah, anyway. But yeah, I want to keep moving forward, and this next slide is perfect because we are talking about the difference between books and movies. Why I think it's really important that we go see live productions, that we read the books, that we don't just consume the only, or we don't allow the only media that we consume to be movies. Okay. Are you reading books or watching movies? Have you read The Prophet? My One of my high school boyfriends gave me The Prophet, so I read that in the I guess it was probably 2000, right? Maybe 1999, 2000, sometime around then. I have never seen this movie. The unconscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested largely by men we have never heard of. This is a logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized. Vast numbers of human beings must cooperate in this manner if they are to live together as smoothly functioning society. In almost every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, in our social conduct or our ethical thinking, we are dominated by the relatively small number of persons who understand the mental processes and social patterns of the masses. It is they who pull the strings which control the public mind. Edward Bernays, the nephew of Sigmund Freud, who wrote Propaganda. Are you aware? I've talked about this a lot, but are you aware of this manipulation? Are you aware of Edward Bernays' work? I don't know. As I have shared before, I was introduced to Carl Jung at a very young age. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it faith. Here is where I want to express gratitude to Fred and Sue, to express gratitude to these individuals that came into my life in my teens. Maybe you have had these synchronistic experiences. Maybe you were fortunate to have mentors and guides. Maybe you weren't. Maybe you found this stuff later in life. When I look at this picture of myself in I don't know, that was probably in maybe 2012, maybe it's 11, I don't know, sometime like that. All I can see is that my back is folding in half, my knees are forward. In the gymnastics term, I didn't really open my armpits, and my shoulders are not over my ears. That's what I would tell all of my girls, right? I am able to look and observe myself, right? Perhaps you're seeing the sunset. Perhaps you're having a conversation yourself, whether you could drop into a back bend or not. I see alignment issues. I own where I was wrong, and I know my choices were satanic. Not because I was a practicing Satanist, right? What I have learned from Mark Passio is that I was really a de facto Satanist. Didn't matter that I was going to a more new age, I would say church or place of worship. Doesn't matter that I really loved the work of Reverend Bernard Michael Beckwith and I went to the Agape Spiritual Center in Los Angeles. I was practicing Satanism because I was really in that what I was taught is the small s self. Okay, so I was being unconscious and under mind control, and that's not an excuse. I know that I am not a victim. I own that I made immoral choices. I was wrong to think that that there was not objective morality. I was ignorant and selfish. The small s self is separation from our natural creator instead of what I was taught was separation from God, right? Perhaps it is, in your terms, sin is separation from God. S, snakes, satanic. No accidents, right? If we want to kind of stay with the theme of Children of Eden, right? And please look into Mark Passio's work as well as other people. Let's not dismiss them because we were not practicing Satanist. We can see the egoic, self centered nature and what it's doing to ourselves. Now, I'm going to bring this to what I do, right? I do not coach cross country. I have coached a season of girls cross country many years ago. I coached the West Ridge School for Girls in Pasadena. That Carter runs for Greenwood High School here in Bowling Green because we live in Warren County, even though he is a homeschool kid. But my question is, does your sports team teach morals? And maybe you don't care about sports. Maybe you think that's just completely a waste of time. But I'm curious, does your sports team teach morals? Or, how are you supporting instilling morals in our young? And I want to share with you this video, not from this season, right? Meaning the 2025 season. This is from 2024. And Carter he was 8 years old at the time.
Go, Carter! Just go, just go! No, sir! Go, Carter! Go, go! Go! There you go!
So he was competing in an elementary school race, and I believe that child, the larger, taller child, was 11 or 12 years old, right? Carter was competing as a quote second grader, even though we homeschool, but he was in the second grade category because of his birth year and where he falls. And you can hear me say no, sir, in the background because that kid was trying to hold him back, right? To hold back, to bind, to thwart from forward progress, right? Relegare, right? We can relate that to religion. The religion of sport, right, is we want to win, right? And do we want to win at all costs? Do we want to thwart somebody else from going forward? Right? Who's wrong here in this situation? I'd love for you to leave a comment here. Um, I told that kid he was wrong, and that kid got the medal ahead of Carter. The organization didn't think he was wrong. Carter would have been within his right to fully fight back. And I get it. I get it that, maybe you don't feel that sports are a metaphor for life, and maybe there's not really time right now. Maybe we should be doing something other than investing in sport. But that's what I do. This is Carter and his good buddy Ari. They are four. I don't know if Ari turned five yet in this at this time, but they both tried out for a YMCA swim team, and the lifeguard had to come in and rescue them. Most specifically, they were rescuing Carter. Ari had been through some swim lessons, and he probably could have kind of doggy paddled the pool, but Carter could not. So expect to self rescue. No one is coming. I have shared this before, right? So, again, I'm doing my best to relate sport with life. And here you are going to see Carter and Ari. Ari's putting his face in. Carter's keeping his head out of the water, and Ari kind of bounces off the bottom a little bit there. But you can see they're swimming on top of each other. We're really, I don't know if we're really swimming, right? They're locomoting in the water. But, I'm videoing this from the back, and the lifeguard goes in after them. So instead of buying your children all the things you never had, you should teach them all the things you were never taught. Material wears out, but knowledge stays. So I have shared before, and in the beginning of episode 10, I showed you my old t-shirt from the first year that I coached summer swim. So this video was taken after I coached that season, and Carter would not really listen to me. So I went to seek out swim lessons, right? Because Carter, you know, and I mean, this is a struggle that we have to this day, right? Parents often tell me, people that don't homeschool, they're like, oh, I couldn't homeschool my child. He won't listen to me. I'm like, quite often, Carter doesn't listen to me, quite often, right? But I sought out swim lessons for Carter, and within that, I also found myself a job teaching swim lessons and eventually coaching a team. I wasn't really looking for a job. I was looking for lessons for Carter, but I ended up finding a community. And so here's Carter belly flopping with his arms out in front. Um, Later that winter, right? So again, he tried out for this swim team at the Y that he was not accepted onto, which was totally a blessing. And then I went to Blairwood in Louisville, and I was hired on to teach swim lessons. And then Carter started taking swim lessons from a awesome high school swimmer. We were teaching Swim America. And here's Carter, kind of diving backwards, going off of the starting blocks. And so things had improved. There was no lifeguard. I'm the lifeguard on duty, right, at the time. So there's no lifeguard that needs to come in to rescue him. And this is, I think, right before the masters came into practice. But the best way to start children, right, just as Bruce Lee is telling us, right, is to give them the opportunities that we were not given. Now, I was given the opportunity to swim and have access to water. My parents were there and present with me. And but I did take swim lessons. I put children in the water at 4 months of age. I have the parents in there with them, and that's what I'm getting ready to do because we're getting ready to enter spring swim season. As I mentioned before, we're also entering the occult season of sacrifice. So let's not sacrifice our children. Let's not do that, right? Again, I'm not satanic. I haven't sacrificed children. I was just a de facto Satanist by being selfish and self centered and ignorant. But when we know better, we do better. And so let's expect a self rescue. No one's coming. I've shared this slide before. This is Zuma from the Nickelodeon show The Paw Patrol and the movies. Zuma is not coming. Expect a self rescue. As I have shared before, when I was teaching swim lessons at Blairwood, when I first started teaching swim lessons, sometime within that first year or so, I encountered a child who spent a lot of time on a tablet. And he, like many other children, was seeking the sensory comfort of being underneath the water. And he would just go under the water and stay there. And one of the amazing swim coaches that I worked with said, there's no app to get you off the bottom of the pool. And so I told his parents that he needed to not be playing with his tablet before getting into the water because he obviously could not discern the difference between reality and whatever he was watching on the tablet. But I don't know if you know this. Did you know the dark occultists refer to those that do their bidding as their dogs? I've made this reference before. Maybe you didn't know about the Paw Patrol, right? But when we know better, we do better. Okay. I didn't know anything about the Paw Patrol. Carter was invited to a birthday party when he was really young of a friend who was having a Paw Patrol birthday party, and I'd never heard of it. So then I bought him a bunch of Paw Patrol toys, so that he didn't feel weird. This was again, my thinking at the time, so that he didn't feel weird around other children because he didn't watch shows. By the time I took him to see the Paw Patrol movie, he was 5 years old. He wanted to go see a movie. We decided we would go with him in person, and all we could see was propaganda. And by the time at age 5, Carter could also see this propaganda. We cannot do any of this alone. Like I said, I'm getting ready to enter my swim season where I invite parents to get in the water. This is a woman next to me. I'm holding her older daughter. That's me in like the turquoise suit. And then this is a good friend of mine who babysat Carter, who actually, you can say whether this is right or wrong, but she was babysitting Carter. I allowed her to nurse Carter because I think if she could go back in time, she would be an amazing like midwife and wet nurse in the 1800s. She loves all the babies, and so these are her two girls, and she's an active, involved homeschool mama. We may not agree on a lot of things. You may judge her because of her knowledge of paganism, witchcraft, crystals, all of those things. I don't. I adore her because she is an active, involved mom. We're going to differ on certain things, just like many of my friends. But she's involved with our swim team. She's going to be in the water with other people, helping them. And she understands occult wisdom, whether she would call it that or not. So maybe you understand occult wisdom, but we have to be in there involved with our children. We can't outsource this stuff. As you can see here in this photo, Carter did not enjoy his first experience at swim team championships. Like I said, I shared the old shirt in episode 10. You could see me wearing it. I'm still wearing it right now. Not the shirt that I'm wearing there, where I coached the Tom Sawyer Sea Dragons, but the championship shirt that we received. Carter received a championship shirt, but he did not swim. Our hair is dry because these athletes were in the water. Carter spent the day watching children swim. And maybe you're watching things in your life, right? I love to make fun of people in Louisville, Kentucky. I call them the spectator city. They love to watch horse racing and watch basketball and watch, 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 watch. These children weren't watching, they were participating. The next year, Carter participated. He went to swim team championships. At 5 years old, he competed in breaststroke. No, he didn't, because they didn't have breaststroke. He loves breaststroke. He competed in backstroke, which he does not love. He was really good at it. Um, and those shorts in the background are Coach Greg. Shout out to Coach Greg. We love Coach Greg. Whole other story for a whole other time. Maybe sometime you will be able to be so fortunate to have a coaching staff and people beside you that you value, that your child gets to learn from. So uh, we continued to love Blairwood, but we left Louisville, Kentucky, and we moved down to Bowling Green. And so over the next couple of years, I would go on to coach the Scottsville Sea Dragons, which is where I still coach today. But that picture of Carter with the blue goggles on is from that first swim meet. And he doesn't care about swimming anymore. He has competed in a triathlon. He loves to ride bikes. The bottom right hand corner is a mountain bike race. Hopefully, they'll have that this summer. Carter wearing the Sea Dragon swim cap. He's actually not swimming for the Sea Dragons there. He is a unattached USA athlete at the time, and he was competing in long course breaststroke. He no longer competes in USA Swimming. I no longer pay dues to USA Swimming. But yeah, so we work, we have a summer league team. But as I shared at the very beginning, to learn to read is to light a fire. Every syllable that is spelled out is a spark. Are you familiar with Victor Hugo? Do you know about Les Mis? Have you skipped ahead or did you hear Do You Hear the People Sing? There is so much wisdom if we don't read the actual books. If we just watch Les Mis, the movie, we miss out. This is Carter with I call her his cousin. She's actually my cousin's child, Phoebe. But again, I feel okay to share it because you can't see Phoebe's face. But I think they share pictures of Phoebe online. I don't know. She's awesome. As I shared, we are entering the occult season of sacrifice. I'm going to go ahead and read this and end it on this slide for this episode. This is a slide from Mark Passio from What on Earth is Happening. As I have shared before, you should listen to all of his work. On the third day after the spring equinox, the sun breaks past the equator and fully emerges from its tomb of the southern hemisphere. This represents the sun rising from the dead to begin its journey towards its highest power at the summer solstice. In sun worshipping traditions, animal and sometimes human sacrifices are offered during the 40 days between the spring equinox and May Day, mid spring. This is the planting season, and the sacrifices were made to the sun and the earth to ensure bountiful harvest. The 40 days between March 22nd and May 1st, May Day, are the occult season of sacrifice. 40 days is a significant symbolic time period in biblical and occult terms. Be particularly vigilant for false flag events and potential human sacrifice rituals during this time. Are you paying attention? I said I was going to end on that, but I'm going to share these. These are pictures taken in the past in our life during the occult season of sacrifice. As I shared, I do not participate in occult rituals, but I am aware that they are happening. All of those are Carter except for the beautiful Ansley when she was young. That's my niece. She's a beautiful dancer. You shouldn't go after her. She has a powerful daddy as well. And that's Quartz when he was much younger. If you ever see him in the background, he doesn't have as much of his brown or black anymore on his ears or his eye. He's hoping to maybe have some of Ansley's candy. This is how I'm going to end it for today. I don't have to be a Christian to find wisdom in the Bible. I can find truth where it is written. I can find truth where it's shared. And just because Christianity was my path does not mean I believe that it's the path for everybody. And we have more cousins now than that image in the lower right hand corner. Some of our cousins we get to see, some of our cousins we don't. And that dog in the background is no longer with us with his little red harness. That's Skippy. He is not here. He has risen. Remember how he told you while he was still with you in Galilee? The Son of Man must be delivered over the hands of sinners, be crucified, and on the third day be raised again. Luke chapter 24, verses 6 through 7. What does that make you think of? Do you dismiss it because you're not a Christian? Do you think that I'm wrong because I don't claim Christianity? Do you think I'm going to quote hell or I'm going to burn for all eternity because I was not baptized through immersion? We don't practice Easter anymore. Sometimes that bothers my family. And they'll probably get him gifts and perhaps we'll go on a hunt if Carter wants to. But I do my best to tell him the truth. Okay. I'd love to hear your comments. I love Quartz in a blue bandana. Somebody told me once that he was really ugly. I don't care. That's not my truth. And you know what? I think it's objectively true. The Quartz is handsome. Thanks for listening. I'll see you soon.